Good morning. It's July 12th, and this video is for Bob Hamilton and anybody else that wants to watch. I'm going to show you a small part of my permaculture farm. It's an example of how to do regenerative agriculture and create a food forest. This plot of the property has 50 mango trees as the main element. I have coconut trees along the windbreak, banana trees down the middle, and beds of fruit trees mixed with fruit and food-bearing plants. The main purpose for this is self-sufficiency, but with 50 mango trees, I'm sure to get a good harvest that I can sell. So the fruit trees are planted on beds, heavily mulched, and interplanted with other vegetables that I can eat and sell. This bed has a row of legumes down the side. Their purpose is twofold. They produce food, which is pigeon peas for me to eat. I'm self-sufficient in those. Obviously self-sufficient in bananas at this point already, and papayas up here. Been selling them for many months. Down the ground cover you see here with the pretty pink flowers, that's called sunshine mimosa. It's also a nitrogen fixing legume, a native plant. It requires no mowing. It holds the soil against erosion, and it produces nitrogen for the system, free, out of the air. No further nitrogen is required. We don't want to pollute our ground, our land, our sea, and by using these legumes, I can sustain the system without using nitrogen. I have used lots of compost. Home-produced compost works very good. So what you see down the middle of these stakes, they are newly planted legume trees also. There's one of them, that's called the ice cream bean. It'll eventually grow into a large tree that can be chopped and dropped. As you chop it and drop it, it sheds nitrogen into the system too. So I'll show you some plants along the system. This one is blue porterweed. As you can see, the bumblebees love it. It supports pollinators. They pollinate passion fruit, which is growing over here, on that vine up on the tree. The system also has guava. So I have a row of guava trees. These are only 1 year old, but they're already producing fruit. The fruit is bagged. That is against a pest called the fruit fly. So I don't have to spray these trees. The bags protect the fruit. No need for insecticide. So along the system I have more beans, which are jack beans, as a nitrogen producer. These are potato mint. They produce an edible potato. I have collard greens, turmerics, gingers. This is edible hibiscus leaf. This is an edible spinach here, perennial. Keeps coming back, coming back, coming back. As much as you cut it, the more it grows. This is a perennial basil. It's a wonderful food for the bees. My system is full of pollinators all day long. The bees also work these flowers. It's a good nectar source and pollen source for them. This is another spinach called longevity spinach. Very good eating. This is a chaya spinach, also known as Mayan spinach. Good eating too, highly nutritious. I have herbs like rosemary here. This is an example of the ice cream bean tree. Eventually it'll continue to be big. It'll be a full-size tree if I want it. The papayas are a short-term tree. This is papaya, and when it's done its life and its purpose has been fulfilled, the ice cream bean will take its place in space and time. Let's see. We have beans, edible beans here, mixed with turmeric. The beans are the short term, the turmeric is the long term. By the mango trees, I have a lot of the garlic chives. For a year now, I haven't had to buy any garlic, any onions. This is my sole source of allium products in my diet. Got some dill here, which looks like it's already self-seeded, so I'll should have more later as the year goes by. Over there in the field, this is an acre of velvet beans. It's also a nitrogen fixer. It's building soil. It's holding the soil against erosion, and basically that section is going to be a house lot. We're going to build a house later this year, and the biomass produced by the velvet beans goes back into the soil, builds nitrogen, prevents weeds, smothers them all out. No need to be weeding that for right now. Let's see. This one is Roselle. It's also known as the Florida cranberry plant. It produces an edible sepal. I plan to make a nice liqueur, so I'll be self-sufficient in that. Won't have to go out and buy any liquor. This is a Lucina tree. It's a legume, not an edible, but it's a sacrificial tree. You'll see I pollard it up high, chop this biomass off, drop it down under the trees as a mulch. Most everything in the system I can chop and drop to mulch and feed the soil. As I do that, we have a big population of millipedes that does eat that and produce their droppings as another fertilizer. This is mint. I've got basil, mint, dill, rosemary, oregano scattered around. I have the older section. These are 10-year-old trees that were here on the property when I bought it. That's all 50 more mango trees, 50 new trees in a food forest, 50 older trees. Over here, there's also another acre of food forest mixed with just about every tropical fruit I can find. I'm trying to collect them all. So here is a perennial winged bean growing up a trellis. This one will flower. It'll start flowering soon towards the end of summer, and I'll have a great supply of green beans. Let's see, what else can I show you? More gingers. I have some peppers scattered around. I backed off a little bit on tomato. I already have plenty of tomatoes in the freezer. So during this season, it's pretty rough to grow tomatoes. There's another example of the ice cream bean. Great example of a 1-year-old mango tree. I'm really happy with that one. He's really performing. So that's an example of what I've done this year. This is all 1 year's work. I did it all myself. Proud of it. And I hope it's a good example of what people can do. Anybody can learn. I'll show you, anybody that wants to, I'll show them how to do this. I'm leading by example. Thank you. Bye.